The morning sun crept through the thin curtains of a small suburban house in Ohio, touching the edges of a life built from exhaustion, hope, and quiet resilience. Michael Carter woke up expecting another ordinary day of survival, another rush between responsibilities, another reminder of everything he had lost and everything he still had to protect. What he did not expect was to walk into his modest kitchen and find the powerful CEO of the company he worked for standing there barefoot, wrapped in one of his old cotton shirts, looking more human and vulnerable than he had ever imagined possible. In that single, breathless moment, the distance between two completely different worlds collapsed, and everything Michael believed about strength, success, and second chances was about to change. Before the story unfolds any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of compassion that can change lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need them most. Michael's life had not always been this tight, this fragile. Years earlier, he had been a hardworking husband with steady dreams, living in a modest neighborhood not far from Cleveland. But life had a way of breaking plans without warning. After losing his wife, Anna, to a sudden illness, Michael found himself standing alone with a 5-year-old son named Noah, trying to be both mother and father while keeping grief from swallowing them whole. Bills piled up, nights grew longer, and sleep became something he borrowed in fragments. He took a job at a fast-growing tech company headquartered in Chicago, working remotely in operations support, grateful for every paycheck and terrified of every mistake. The CEO, Sarah Whitmore, was a name spoken with awe inside the company, known for her sharp mind, impossible standards, and emotional distance. To Michael, she was a symbol of a world he could never belong to. Sarah's life on the surface looked perfect. She had built her company from the ground up, earned headlines, and commanded boardrooms filled with powerful men twice her age. But behind the glass offices and tailored suits was a woman running from her own emptiness. Her parents had died young, her marriage had collapsed under the weight of ambition, and her success had slowly replaced every human connection she once valued. When a sudden health scare during a business trip forced her doctor to insist on rest, Sarah made an uncharacteristic decision. She took time off and accepted a quiet invitation from the HR director to temporarily stay with a trusted employee's family in Ohio, away from the noise of the city, to recover and reflect. That employee was Michael. Michael agreed out of obligation and fear, not comfort. He prepared the guest room, warned his son to be polite, and reminded himself every hour that this was temporary. The first days were awkward and distant. Sarah spent most of her time working silently while Michael moved around her like a shadow, careful not to disturb her space. Noah, however, saw something different. Children often see what adults miss. He saw a tired woman who smiled sadly at cartoons and watched him build toy cities on the floor as if she wished she had known how to do that once. Slowly, the walls softened. One evening, after Noah fell asleep on the couch, Michael collapsed from exhaustion. Sarah noticed the way his hands shook slightly when he carried his son to bed, the way he rubbed his temples as if holding himself together by will alone. That night, the house felt unusually quiet. Somewhere between memories and reflection, Sarah wandered into the kitchen early the next morning, unable to sleep. She had spilled coffee on her clothes and instinctively reached for the first clean shirt she found folded neatly on a chair. It belonged to Michael. Oversized, soft, and simple, it felt nothing like the armor she wore every day. When Michael walked in moments later, the sight stopped him cold. Sarah's first words were not about apologies or embarrassment. They were about gratitude. She acknowledged, in a raw and unguarded way, how safe she felt in a home built on love rather than power. That moment broke something open in both of them. Michael realized that even the strongest people carried invisible wounds, and Sarah realized that success meant nothing without someone to share breakfast with in a quiet kitchen. Over the following days, conversations deepened, not through dramatic confessions, but through shared routines. Michael talked about learning to braid his son's hair for school events, about nights spent staring at hospital walls, about choosing hope even when it hurt. Sarah spoke about building a company to prove her worth, about loneliness disguised as ambition, about forgetting how to rest. The house became a place of healing for both. Noah grew attached to Sarah in his own innocent way, reminding her of the life she never allowed herself to imagine. When Sarah returned to Chicago, everything changed, but quietly. Michael did not receive favors or promotions handed out of pity. Instead, he was given flexibility, support, and respect. Sarah restructured parts of the company culture, prioritizing mental health and family, inspired by a single dad who had unknowingly taught her what leadership truly looked like. Their connection did not rush into fantasy or promises. It grew patiently, grounded in understanding and mutual respect, shaped by loss and resilience rather than desire. Months later, on a crisp autumn afternoon in Ohio, Sarah returned, not as a CEO on leave, but as a woman choosing connection. She sat at the same kitchen table, watched Noah do homework, and looked at Michael with a calm certainty neither of them had known before. Life did not suddenly become perfect, but it became fuller. Two broken paths had crossed, not to escape pain, but to carry it together with strength. As this story draws close, take a moment to reflect. If this journey touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can exist in the most unexpected places, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel to support more stories like this. And just before we end, here's a special request for you. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe that small moments can change entire lives. Because sometimes it's not grand gestures that heal us. Sometimes it's a quiet morning, a borrowed shirt, and the courage to finally be seen.